So now that we're done with the previous things about options, let's talk about the value of an option. So if my strike is 105 and my spot is 100, right? And it's a call option. Does it have any intrinsic value today? It doesn't. What do I mean by having intrinsic value today? I mean that if expiry date was today, would it have any value? No, because we know that call option will have only value if it expires above 105, above the strike price, right? So if it doesn't have intrinsic value, why should I pay any premium for that option? Because the option have the underlying can move to above 105. It is a possibility. Am I right? So the value of an option is a combination of two factors. One is the intrinsic value. In our case of 100 rupees for a strike of 105, it has zero intrinsic value. And the second is the time value of the option, right? So these are the two components that make up the price of an option, right? So after understanding this, we'll go to moneyness of an option. So there are three types of options. Okay, at the money option, in the money option, out of the money option, right? Firstly, we will take out of the money option. Okay, basically an option that has no intrinsic value as of today. If expiry had to happen today, it has zero intrinsic value. Okay, that is called an out of the money option. In the case of the previous example where strike is 105 and spot is 100, right? If I at spot 100, if I take 105 strike call option, it has no intrinsic value. So for me, 105 call option is out of the money. Okay, it is having no intrinsic value. Okay, now for example, spot is at 100 and I take a 95 call option. 95 call option is also available, right? So 95 call option inherently has a intrinsic value of 5. Okay, but it will also have a time value component, maybe 3-4 rupees, we don't know. Okay, so the total price may be 9 rupees for that option. Okay, but it has an intrinsic value as of today. That option is called as in the money option. Finally, at the money option is that strike price which is closest to the spot price. Simple. For example, Nifty is at 15,700. 15,700 call option will be at the money strike for the call option, or 15,700 put option will be at the money strike for the put option. At the money, it is right now at the same point, correct? What if the price is 15,730? Okay, so we know that 15,750 option is there, and we know 15,700, these are the two strikes available, whichever it is closer to, correct? So in the case that spot is 15,730, 15,750 call and put will be the at the money option. So this is called as a moneyness of the option, right? So I'll again summarize. Out of money options have no intrinsic value as of today. In the money options have inherent intrinsic value, and at the money option is the strike price which is the closest to the spot price, right? Moving on. So we have learned so far basics of call and put options. Call option is long, call long is bullish, call short is bearish or sideways expectation. Put long is bearish, put short is bullish or sideways expectation. We have understood the nomenclature for call and put option. We have understood the nomenclature for call long, call short, put long, put short, or call buy, call sell, put sell. We have seen payoff charts. We will have one more video later on to understand payoff charts in more detail, and we'll talk about a software available for simulating these payoff charts. And finally, we have understood how to compute the intrinsic value of an option. Correct? Now we will learn about something called as open interest, right? So we know that there are many strikes available for a particular expiry for a particular underlying, right? That is summarized by the option chain. Okay, now it is important to know whether these strike each strike price has enough liquidity. Why is it important? Because more the volume traded, better the price realization is. Do you get the point? If you are trading something like wheat, okay, or rice, you know that it's about 40 rupees a kilogram or 50 rupees a kilogram, right? But if you are trading something that is rarely traded, like for example, a WWF card set that you have, okay, or a painting, okay, you don't know what is the right price to quote for it, okay? The seller might charge crazy exorbitant price, and as a buyer you might be falling in that trap, or vice versa, right? So open interest is important to understand how liquid a particular strike price is. Correct? Open interest is nothing but number of contracts of a particular option that are being traded. Okay, so for each strike there is an open interest. It can be seen in the option chain. We will understand open interest by the help of a very simple example as below. Okay, Yudhishthir, Arjun, Bhim, Nakul and Sahadev are 5 people, are all interested in buying or selling, okay, Nifty July 16,000 call option. So 16,000 call option is out of money call option because current price, spot price is 15,700. 16,000 call option will have no intrinsic value right now, so it is out of money. Okay, so these 5 guys, Y, A, B, N and S, they are interested in trading in this strike price for July expiry for Nifty, right? This is how the open interest table looks like. Okay, bear with me. First day, Yudhishthir and Arjun buy calls of 5 lots and 3 lots respectively. Okay, if they are buying, somebody has to sell. Nakul has sold 8 lots. So if you see here how it looks, Yudhishthir has purchased 5 lots, so he has total green is purchased, right? Is long 5 lots, L is long. Arjun has purchased 3, so it's 3L, and Nakul has sold 8 lots. It is 8S. So total 8 contracts are there, right? 8 lots are bought and 8 lots are sold. 8 contracts. Open interest is 8, right? Let's look at what happens on day 2. On day 2, Nakul buys 4 lots. Okay, so what happened on day 1? Nakul had sold 8 lots, right? So now he buys 4 lots. So what happens? He's basically squared off 4 lots. So he only has 4 lots of short remaining because he had 8 shorts. He has purchased 4 back, so he has only 4 shorts remaining. Okay, and who has sold these 4 lots to him? Sahadev has sold these 4 lots to him. So Sahadev came into the market and he said, I will sell these 4 lots. Okay, so Sahadev has sold the 4 lots. Okay, so as you see here, the total number of contracts in the market remained the same. Correct? No new open interest has been generated. Although trading has happened, there are total 8 contracts in the market. Correct? Is this clear, guys? Because Nakul has bought back 4 lots and only 4 new lots have come into the market. No new contracts. There are total 8 contracts. You can see here. There are 8 longs and 8 shorts, 8 lots, but trade has happened. Okay. So traded volume can be higher than the open interest. Okay. It is important to understand this point. Similarly, on day 3, this is what happens. Sahadev sells 10 lots, Nakul buys 1 lot, Yudhishthir buys 3, and Arjun buys 6. Now the OI is 17 lots. Why is it not 18 lots? This is something I'll request you to pause the video and figure it out in your spare time. But I hope the concept of open interest is clear. So you want to invest in strike prices that are highly liquid. Very simple reason for that, because highly liquid strike price means the price discovery is correct. The buyer and the seller, they are bargaining very close to each other's price acceptance levels, right? Which is why open interest matters. You do not want to buy something that is having very small open interest because you might get defrauded, right? So traded volume can be higher than open interest due to intraday activity, lot of buying and selling happening, but contracts may not be increasing. It can also happen that lot of buying selling happened and OI decreased. That is also a possibility, right? Finally, if you are an option seller, okay, you want to sell option, what factors would determine how much premium you would charge? Like, right? So let us take an example of you are an insurance agent, okay? Insurance company, you're LIC, right? So you want to sell insurance to somebody, correct? Option selling is nothing but selling insurance only, right? So how would you determine what premium to charge, right? It's, say, assume it is life insurance. So first thing would be your strike price would be, for example, say your age of death, or age till which the insurance policy is valid, right? So if the person dies before that age, right, it becomes the sum assured has to be paid. If it passes off, if it goes ahead, LIC gets to keep all of the premium in the case of a term plan. So first factor is how much is the age of the person. Okay, how close is the person to the average death age? That is one factor. Higher the age, the greater the premium, because the greater the risk LIC has. Correct? What else could be a factor? So one is the time, right? One is the distance from the average age of death. Okay, that also means how much time the person has on the place. Another point is you are giving 3-4 choices. You're giving 75 up to 75 term plan, term plan, you're getting 80 term plan, you're giving 90 term plan. So different expiries you're giving term plan. So will you charge more for a 90 plan till a 90 age, or will you charge more for a plan till a 75 age? Obviously you will charge more for a plan for 90 age. Why? Because the probability that the person will die between 75 and 90 is way high, even if the person is 30 years old today, right? So the duration of the policy matters. Firstly, the distance from average death age matters. Secondly, the duration of the policy matters. Another thing I can give you example is, for example, how are the person's habits, or what profession is the person into? Is the profession, is the person a coal miner, or is he a software engineer? Will you charge the same premium from both? Absolutely not. So how volatile your life situation is, right? These are the factors, broad factors, which will determine what you would charge, what premium you would charge, right? Very similarly for options, the factors that broadly determine, these are not all the factors, but broadly the factors that determine the price of an option are, firstly, what is the distance between the strike price and the spot price? Secondly, how much time to expiry there is. Greater the time to expiry, greater the premium, regardless whether the option is out of money, in the money, right? Thirdly, how much volatility is there in the market? If market is stable, gentle, it's not moving a lot, okay, premiums will be lesser, because buyers will say, why should I pay so much premium for such a far away out of money option when I know the chance of it going there is so low? Correct? Volatility will also play a role. So these are very, very interesting subjects, okay, and these are the Greeks, okay. So theta, vega, delta, gamma and rho are the Greeks, but this is out of the scope for this this basic session. We do take paid classes on Greeks. They are very highly recommended by students who have learned them. Greeks help you devise option strategies. So you're understanding options, but how do you employ them in real life is something that a sound understanding of Greeks will help you with. Okay. So very soon, hopefully, we will also have a video series on Greeks as well. Right. So ensure that you hit like and subscribe to the Techvity Investing YouTube channel. Tell your friends who are interested to check this course out. If you've liked it, do recommend us, and thank you for watching.